kills everyone.
I believe it was the son.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
One of
It
them
was a
does
long
it.
time ago.
One of them does it, and it's scary.
I will say this, and we're going to talk about movies real quick. Go see. Oh my gosh! Now you got me blanking on movie names.
Amnesia spreads.
A Quiet Place.
Oh yeah.
It was fantastic.
All right.
I highly recommend it.
But it's just so strange to me how Jim from The Office is now directing and starring in horror movies, and they're just amazing.
It's crazy, right? He's been doing fantastic. So
yeah.
Good for him. And I love The Office. It's one of my all-time favorite shows.
I know, yeah. All right. Well, I haven't seen this yet, and it has only 46% Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm just going to say go ahead and see it anyways. Rampage. It's got The Rock. I mean, how can you say no to The Rock at this point?
Who took over HQ today.
Did he?
Yeah. It was fantastic for $300,000. We're getting on a tangent, but yes, definitely check that out.
Go see those things. Yes. All right, Bobby. Let's get down to can we still call it America's pastime even with people being upset about stuff and like the Heartland denying the fact that football players are kneeling? Can we still call it America's pastime?
I think so.
Yeah, okay,
I mean,
it's America's pastime.
It's better than baseball in my opinion, so let's go with it.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Bobby, who do you want to start with? We can talk Raiders, we can talk Rams, we can talk your Vikings, we can talk Odell Beckham Jr. and the trade speculation. We can talk draft. I mean, you lead us on this NFL discussion, Bob.
Okay, but before we get into anything, for those of you that are first-time listeners, there's a couple things you must know.
Yeah.
One, Alex is a diehard Raiders fan.
Hey, asterisk was.
Oh, excuse me. The times have changed, people. Why is that a was?
Because they cut Marquette King.
We will get into that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, two, I am a diehard Vikings fan. Yes. We are both going to be impartial when we do this show for the most part of our teams.
We'll try.
But before I can get started, actual news and actual being a radio personality when it comes to being impartial about the NFL.
Yeah.
I will say this. I got the opportunity to go to Minnesota in January to go to a Vikings playoff game. My first game as a Vikings fan my entire life. It's the first game I've ever been able to go to in Minnesota. And it was the Saints-Vikings game. What a game to go to for my first game ever. Just want to say the city was amazing. For a better time, but I just wanted to let the people know, yes, I'm very disappointed what happened the following week, but at least I got to see that game. So that was a little tangent, I know, but I just wanted to share that since we haven't talked to our fans in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, my God, if that was probably the best game in Minnesota history that you could have gone to. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah, and I went by myself. It was an amazing experience. I've never hugged so many random people in my life.
Oh, that's a lie. You do that every weekend.
It's true. Especially drunk people at my job. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I've never heard a stadium that loud before either. It was an amazing experience and one I will never forget. As for the NFL going into the offseason, let's talk. I think they've been the most impressive team I've seen in a very long time when it comes to offseason transactions. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you would like to start off with the Rams?
I mean, it's just, it's crazy that they've done all these moves, trading for Brandon Cooks, trading for a couple of stud cornerbacks and Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib, signing Ndamukong Suh, signing Sam Shields, trading away Robert Quinn, trading away Alec Ogletree. And they said the impetus for a lot of that was the fact that they saw Philadelphia making all those trades last offseason, and look where it got them. And so they say, let's jump on this now. I know we have a young team, and, Jared Goff is just going to be in his third year. But we want to capitalize on this team we have now. We don't want to just continue to kind of let it slowly build. We want to jump right in. I like 80% of the moves they've done. The only thing that scares me about the Rams is the fact they relate it to the Eagles. And the team that I think of maybe that you compare this Rams team now to is not the Eagles of last year, but the Eagles when they had that super crazy offseason, 5-6 years ago, and everyone was talking about how they're Super Bowl bound and they're signing all these guys, and it just totally crumbled around them. I forget what the name, someone named it. Vince Young called it It's not like the Dream Team or something. It just was a spectacular failure. And look, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Sean McVay is an amazing coach. He's probably going to be the youngest coach in the NFL for the next 3 or 4 years, even though, he's now, been in it and led his team to the playoffs. Look, I think Ndamukong Suh still has a lot left in the tank. The same is true for Marcus Peters. Same is true Brandon Cooks is still a very young player. Aqib Talib is going to be on the downturn, but he's still can be a very good number 2 or number 3 cornerback. Same with Sam Shields. And I don't want to sound like I'm being negative. I hesitate when I see all these big moves happening, and it always seems like they're like, oh, well, now how can you stop the Rams on defense with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh? It just isn't possible. Well, yes, that's true on paper, but there's always those egos that play into it, and I worry that somehow one of these guys, whether it be Ndamukong Suh or Brandon Cooks or Marcus Peters or Aqib Talib, they took a flyer. You wouldn't say a flyer, because a flyer is kind of a guy who had high potential but never really panned out, so they're going to say, okay, well, Darko Milicic, you never panned out for the Pistons, but maybe you can play well for us. So they're not taking a flyer because these guys are proven, but they're taking kind of a risk because these guys have kind of proved to be a little bit of a head case. Like Marcus Peters went out of Kansas City because of the whole throwing the flag into the stands, and that was kind of the last straw, if you will, for Andy Reid and company. And Ndamukong Suh, look, you can't say that he's done terrible things lately, but he has some behavioral issues in the past. He's had some temper tantrums. He had some suspensions for things he's done. Aqib Talib just like snatching Michael Crabtree's chain, and you never know when Michael Crabtree's going to try to sneak up on Aqib Talib and try to just start a blood feud. Maybe Aqib Talib is in a bar fight with Michael Crabtree and only one of them gets out. And what if it isn't Aqib Talib? Now, obviously, that's tongue in cheek, but there are question marks surrounding the pieces they got. And on the whole, I would say it's positive, but I would also just, if you're an LA Rams fan, just be wary that these things kind of work out less often than you'd think.
Yeah, and I agree. I totally see where you're coming from. Like, how many times have we seen these all-star teams, these teams that you're just like, okay, who's going to stop them? What's going to get in the way of this team besides maybe themselves? How many times have we seen that? Maybe a handful of times, but 90% of the time it doesn't work out. I'd say the last time it did work out that we were a good team and they were an amazing team was the year Randy Moss went to the Patriots, and we saw what they were able to do on offense together. It was amazing. So, and even then it was to a lesser extent of a dream team.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in some ways. However, I will say, get Marcus Peters for a steal, essentially, to get Aqib Talib, who's still not regressing as much as people might think top level anymore, but he's an all-around great number 2, 1A, 1B type of guy. Mm-hmm. With Marcus Peters there, the 1A. He just needs to be the 1B. And with those two as not dirty, that's the wrong way of saying it, as disruptive as they can be, I'm excited about that. I think that's got potential to be and Joyner in the defensive backs with them. Oh my gosh. Talk about who's going to throw against them. I don't see it. I think that these guys, all three of them, are going to be perennial all-stars for the next couple of years while playing together. Now, I will say this as well. The fact that they got Ndamukong Suh, I love that because I think that Ndamukong Suh struggled in Miami because he was the guy.
Yeah.
There was no one near him, no one next to him that really took the pressure off of him from being the guy. Now he goes to a place where he's got, Aaron Donald. He has Aaron Donald right there who's going to be the star. He could just kind of take a step back and then just worry about not having to be the face of that defense. There's so many other pieces around him that are going to take that pressure off of him that I think it's going to take the emotional pressure, the stress of having to be the guy, and I think he's going to push through and be the Ndamukong Suh we saw at Nebraska, the Ndamukong Suh we saw the first few years on the Detroit Lions. This dominant player with Aaron Donald there, who's quite possibly the best defensive player in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
With him playing alongside him, oh my gosh, this defense. Like, forget all the transactions that they've made on the offensive side. This defense, I'm nervous because being a Vikings fan, my Vikings defense, I think, is one of the best, if not the best, defense in the entire NFL. I'm scared. This defense could be better. This defense could be one of the nastiest defenses we have seen in a long time. And if they can continue to do what they did on offense by bringing Cooks in, which I think was a great transaction, I think that move alone would stand had they not made all these other moves. I think that move was a great move if, say, Buffalo did it, you know? Yeah. But the fact that they did it along with all these other moves, just it's a melting pot of excitement because of the fact that they have so many guys that play at such a high level coming into one team. And very underrated move that they made as well was re-signing John Sullivan, former Vikings center. That guy played amazing last year. They got Whitworth on the line. They got Gurley back there, who, if he continues to do what he does, and they're paying nothing for him because he's still on that rookie contract.
Yeah. If
he can come in there and continue to play at a high level, I mean, it really comes down to one thing. The quarterback has to do what he did last year. Because if he's anything like he was that rookie year, which I don't see happening at all, then they're going to be in the playoffs for sure. I would mark them in at least winning one round into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. Despite the trepidation I had and trying to say pump the brakes, let's not plan a Super Bowl party just yet. I mean, they have as good a chance as anyone in the NFC right now. I mean, obviously Philadelphia, defending Super Bowl champs, getting their superstar quarterback back. Minnesota probably upgrading at quarterback. We're not 100% sure yet. We can talk about that. But, I mean, having, like you said, maybe the best defense in the NFL, definitely top three, and only adding to that by signing Sheldon Richardson. They are in that conversation for the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC. And the NFC right now is really the dominant league in the NFL when you look at just the youth that these awesome teams have and the fact that Philly and LA especially, their quarterbacks are so young that they're going to be in a spot where they could win for 10 to 15 more years and have like a Patriots or Indianapolis Colts while Peyton Manning was there type dynasty in their division. So, yeah, I mean, LA, look, don't read too much into my kind of pessimism before. I'm just trying to say, look, if things don't work out, this is why. Don't say I didn't warn you, but I would say, yeah, they're going to win 11 or 12 games next year, and they're probably going to make it to the NFC Championship game. I don't know who they kick out. I don't know if they kick out Philly. I don't know if they kick out the Vikings, but they could very well find themselves there again this year, or next year they will.
And I will say this: there are 4 teams in the NFL that I think have the most ridiculous defenses that I think are going to be hard to stop, and 3 of them come from the NFC conference.
Yeah.
The Eagles, the Rams, the Vikings, so the other one being the Jaguars. Other than that,
yeah.
And honestly, today's NFL, as much as the offense is exciting to see, the defense is what does it for me. And I think, we saw it this year. I think defenses are going to win championships for the next few years. As much as it was fun to see Atlanta with, Matt Ryan 2 years ago, or with Tom Brady over his career, or Drew Brees, back in 2009. As much as it's fun to see those high-powered offenses, we see a team like Seattle, we see a team like Baltimore. All these teams that are winning Super Bowls have stacked defenses, and I think that that's what the NFL is moving more towards, and that's why I think there was such a wave of transgression towards making that a valiant the Rams, because they made moves on the offense, but it was mainly all those defensive moves, and I think they see that that's what's going to win them the championship, and I think that is the truth.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, all those teams you laid out, look, everyone was kind of surprised, oh, well, can Nick Foles bring the Eagles to a championship? Oh, can Case Keenum bring the Vikings, to a Super Bowl? Oh, can Jared Goff, do things that he was not able to even sniff at in his first year in the league. All those guys were bolstered by really, really good defenses. I mean, look, Blake Bortles